Well, thanks for tuning in to this small coverage that we're doing on Zomato's listing. We don't do this too often, but Zomato, the nature of the company, the size of the company has compelled us to do this. And with me, of course, is Sajid Mangat as well, joining in. And
Hi,
Sajid,
Neeraj.
well, it is interesting. We'll keep it short, snappy. It's about 2.5 minutes left for the stock to list, but the pre-open is a real surprise for most people. Sajid, 150 people were bullish, not
Yeah,
so
I
much.
mean, the gray market was around 22 rupees odd, so they have, the pre-open has been much higher than the gray market price, which basically means that all the HNIs would have recovered the cost from this IPO if it lists above 115 rupees. You know, if it comes down, because the pre-open is based on, especially you need to tender your shares, so it's not a speculative one. You have to deliver your shares on that price. So
Yeah,
it all depends upon, and someone has to buy at that price. Then only you arrive at a pre-open price which is there. So it's not about putting in your bids at a higher price, and the bid comes at 150 rupees. So there is people who have bet on
yeah,
150 rupees.
yeah. From what we hear from bankers, frankly, viewers, the quantum of bids already out there in the market for buying the stock on listing is pretty high. So that is part one. But viewers, and we are about a minute away from the listing. The Zomato stock getting listed on the bourses. But the key question for all of you is not whether you have to subscribe to the IPO or no. Fine, you subscribe to the IPO, you got your money right now, you can get out as well. The question is, it's more difficult for an investor right now to figure out what to do, simply because it's no longer at a valuation, Sajid, of sub 10 billion. At these valuations, this one is
12.1
scorching.
12.1 billion.
Yeah, it's scorching, as we say. So
Yeah.
this is the trick, right, Sajid? What happens now? At 76, people were divided. At 115, who knows?
At 115, people will sell. They will take 39%, 50% profit home, basically. That's what they would try to do. Means, you are not going to keep it on the table there, because the argument was that they haven't kept much for the investors on the table to take away, but it has listed at 115 rupees, or the pre-market open price is 115 rupees, so people will cash on it. I'm just looking at the total bids, buy and sell bids on NSE. It's something like 34 crore of buy bids and some 2.24 crores of sell bids, which is there. So you'll have upward bias on the price on listing as well.
For
It seems
sure. Yeah.
because at 116 rupees you have 1 crore shares which are
It's
outstanding, and
trading. It's trading now,
it's
Sajid. It's
yeah,
trading
that's what I'm.
119 rupees,
Yes,
57% higher
yes,
on debut
the-
for Zomato.
yeah.
Yeah, but I
That's
think that's the point that Sajid was trying to make, that the quantum
it.
of outstanding bids for the stock is very high. Now, please keep in
Very
mind,
high.
viewers, we are no way saying that the buying is going to be so ferocious that the stock will move up from these levels. We are merely listing out the probabilities and the facts as we see them. Please don't make your buying or selling decisions based on that. But you have to admit that this IPO is not uh, per se the standards of what an Indian investor would be talking about. This is more a global natured IPO, wherein what the FII community would do and how much of a piece of a pie of Zomato, or essentially a tech play in India, officially the first tech play in India, do they want, which will determine what the stock will do. Don't look at the P multiples out here. I would presume that the IPO itself has shown, or the listing itself has shown, that for the time being, the P multiple, or whatever you call it, that variant is almost irrelevant. Sajid.
Yeah, I think it's trying to stabilize at a market cap of nearly 12 to 13 billion dollars. I think that would be the ideal market cap there. And if you look at the demand being very high, and it's based primarily because you have lost out on during the IPO, especially the retail portion had lost out in the IPO. So there may be some buying which will happen at 115 or 116 rupees. Now, the question is that how much you are willing to pay for this IPO. Are you willing to wait for the IPO to look at the fundamentals in Q1, how Q1 has to panned out, and then you take a call, or you're going to take into account what happened in FY20 or FY21 because of COVID, and then take a call. So if you look at the valuations, it's very stretched, as some of the leading analysts have said. But point is, at $13 billion, will you be taking a bet on Zomato? Because that would be too big a stretch in that sense for a company which is not profit making at this point in time. You have to bet on it for a long term, and today it's not. I think today is not for the people who want to bet on the long term. It's about booking your profit who got their shares, and that's what is going to happen. You're going to see a uh, lot of buying and selling happening at this price, and profit booking which is going to happen.
Yeah, viewers, the key question for a Zomato shareholder, or a prospective or an existing shareholder, I think three or four. One, fundamentally, whether can Zomato have one core cash generating business, which will give it money and not necessarily make it burn money? Can the fund availability help Zomato burn others out? That's the other big thing, right? It's now got a war chest of northwards of between 10 to 15,000 crore rupees. So does it have the money funds to burn others out, grow even more in the process? Are valuations pricing in the plus points already? That's the other key question. And can the habit creation stage eventually lead to it becoming an indispensable app? I think that's the other key question that exists. And if you can answer all of these, viewers, because I surely can't, then you got it spot on compared to others. But yeah,
Plus it's a bet on the per capita income of people, right? And the moving away of ordering, moving away from making it home to ordering. That's something which is there now. COVID did help uh, in a big way to get that thing going. But if you look at uh, the GMV, gross merchandise value, or gross order value which they had, uh, that fell in FY21. It didn't go up. They were able to curb the burnouts, and as a result of which the contribution went up. But as they go ahead, it's something, it's like growth, pushing growth for Zomato. But at the same time, you have players like Swiggy, which recently raised some money, and then you have Amazon, which is also in the fray. Now, how big it will be in the year or two? It's turning out to be a classic telecom sector kind of story, where three players are there, one with a lot of cash coming in, and the other two who has some cash, but they have to wait out how to spend it, and whether they will be able to charge enough and get service fees for what they are doing. So all those things will factor in going forward. So that's a big question which will be there. And the first test would be to become a bit positive for the company. They may not be profitable in the next 3-4 years, but if you show intent to become an EBIT positive, then you have a much better way of looking at it.
By the way, 1:30 now and counting. So irrespective of what any pundit would tell you or what me or Sajid would discuss, right now the screen tells you that there is buying. Could it fizzle out? Sure. But just looking at the quantum of orders that were there on open, this looks like a winner currently. Now, just before we wrap up, at least the final thing from my end, irrespective of whatever happens, the reason I want to show you Professor Ashwath Damodaran's tweets is that he's made 2 points wherein he's saying that a bet on Zomato is a bet on India, so to say, and his valuation of Zomato value is about 40 rupees per share. Now that tells you something, right? That when he's saying that that is what it could be, and price is at 130. So, and of course there are caveats out there. So I would urge you not to just hear me out right now on what Ashwath Damodaran has said, but read his tweets, read this column as well. But he's put out a set of tweets this morning as well, and that could be interesting. This is what we've of course put out already, but yeah, this is the thing that you need to look at, both the story that we put it out, both his tweets as well, and that might tell you something. But Sajid, that's it from my end. Final thoughts from you, just that the price tells a story irrespective of what anybody else has to say.
Yeah, the price tells a different story and does not factor in the current conditions. It's factoring in maybe 5 years down the line if it becomes profitable, what kind of valuation it should be doing it. And that's what when I was speaking to Temasek, which was one of the investors as well, they said that you have to look at whether this how this model can be sustained and over a period of time how much can it achieve. And if you have faith in the thing that okay, maybe 5 years down the line, it will have it will have a big size of this market, or it will have a business model which will be sustainable, which will be profitable, then you pay for that business model today. Simple as that. And that's how institutions are looking at. But the retails and HNIs may not be looking at the same way. So HNIs
Sure.
may be looking at getting profits today. Retail may be saying, okay, I have seen and tested the model. It works for me, so I may hold it on for a couple of more years. And that's how you're going to see a lot of retail entering at this point in time at this price, and maybe a quarter or two down the line, you will see the composition of the investors. It will be heading towards roughly around 15 to 18% of the stock being held by retailers. So the
Yeah. Well.
institutions which came in today, or the HNIs came in today, would have exited by now, and then they would be, it will be handled by the retail investors. And mind you, Zomato promoters have only a small percentage of stake, so it will have a huge public float in next 1 or 2 quarters if the institutions now, maybe after 3 months or 6 months, maybe or a year, they start offloading themselves in the market. You will see a lot of pressure coming in for the Zomato stock as well going forward, because those
Yeah.
institutions will start booking profits.
Sure. Well, those are key considerations later on. For now, 140 rupees on the ticker, and that's what matters. If you invested and if you got a slice of Zomato, lucky for you. If you bought it on open, good for you. Trade carefully, invest carefully. And from me, Sajid, and the team that put this small listing conversation together, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.